In the 1970s, busing in Boston was a controversial topic that divided the city and caused much violence. The federal court ordered schools in Boston, which had previously been segregated by race, to be integrated through public busing. This duty fell upon Kevin White, the mayor of Boston at that time. Kevin White was the son of Boston politician Joe White. Their family was Irish Catholic, and Kevin had always been pushed toward politics, even helping his father during his campaigns. In 1968, he was elected as mayor of Boston, and for 4 years, he showed that he could lead the people of Boston successfully. Then, in 1972, he was almost selected as the running mate of George McGovern for the presidency. White enthusiastically accepted and began thinking of how this could change his career for the future. White felt that the proposal from McGovern meant he was certain to have a career in national politics. McGovern ended up reconsidering his decision and asked Thomas Eagleton to run with him instead. Despite being turned down, after this incident, White found himself with a growing ambition for power. In 1974, federal judge Arthur Garrity decided the segregated schools in Boston needed to be forcefully desegregated. His solution was to order busing from different neighborhoods. It involved transporting black students through the predominantly white South Boston and Roxbury. The plan would inevitably lead to racial conflict. Mayor White ran into trouble with this because of a conflicting comment he made in passing earlier. He had stated that as long as he was mayor, there would be no busing in Boston, yet he now had to obey the order from the court while keeping peace in the city. Up to this point, the mayor had proven that he could be a good leader when he wanted by involving himself in conflicts and calming the people. At one point leading up to the busing crisis, White was dealing with a riot in Boston. He needed all the police forces he could get. At the same time, the Rolling Stones were supposed to be having a concert, but had been arrested in Rhode Island. He had the Rolling Stones released and spoke at the concert, asking them to cool it so he could divert police officers from the concert to the riots. At the end of his speech, the 15,000 concert attendees gave him a standing ovation. Despite his ability to handle conflicts and lead the people of Boston, he led poorly during the busing crisis. While he had to deal with the busing, he had ambitions to go national as a politician. He knew that the forced busing was unpopular among whites in Boston, and so he never attempted to take a strong stand in favor of busing. He feared that by showing any support for the busing plan, he would lose white votes and hurt his chances of national politics. He sought help from Judge Garrity and President Ford in the form of federal marshals. He wanted to have the marshals instated so that people would associate the forced busing with the federal order and federal government. White was hoping that if the federal government were the ones enforcing the busing plan, then they would be the ones to take the blame for the violence. Despite his requests for support, neither Garrity nor Ford gave him any marshals. Ford even stated that he was against the forced busing going on in Boston. Both avoided associating themselves with the busing as much as they could because they knew that they, like White, would be blamed for not handling the riots. Once White failed to receive federal support, he gave up on handling the riots, making a statement saying that he would only do what was legally required of him and could not guarantee the safety of the children. In essence, he was giving up and willing to let the city fall into violence. Mr. Gauthier has speculated that White gave up to send the federal government a message that he would not become the symbol for the busing and all the conflict surrounding it. White also felt that he could not control the chaos in Boston as long as he was refused federal help. He eventually blamed the uncontrollable violence on anyone he could, including Judge Garrity, the Kennedy family, and the federal government. Kevin White failed both to solve the busing issue and to make it to national politics. It stemmed from his attempts to juggle doing his job as mayor and forwarding his own political agenda. His interests at national politics inhibited his skill as a leader and caused him to make poor decisions regarding the busing crisis. Where before people saw a man with the ability to lead a city out of trouble, they then saw a man willing to let the same city burn to the ground. His ambition to get into the White House prevented White from properly dealing with busing in Boston, leading to his failure in both endeavors. Despite being refused federal assistance, White did not use all of his resources to combat the riots, nor did he take a strong stance to follow through with enforced busing. He was a leader with great potential, but his ambition became his ultimate downfall.